So on the phone with me, I have got Bonnie. Bonnie, what's going on?
Not much, man. How are you?
Yeah, living the American dream, bro.
Yeah, in Austin.
Yeah, Austin, Texas, man. It's been a whirlwind, just living everywhere.
Yeah, I know. You guys are like moving every couple of months, it seems like.
Yeah, bro. Well, I mean, moving to Pittsburgh and then from Pittsburgh to Portland and now Portland to Austin, Texas. So, and you're from Portland, right?
Well, sort of. I mean, I'm Australian, but I'm half American because my mum's American. So I have
Yeah.
dual citizenship, which is like the golden ticket if you in
Oh,
terms of like where you can have access to. I get to live in the States and Australia whenever I want.
no
And you know
way.
when you're like when you're a kid, you don't realize how cool something is, and then when you're an adult and you find out like how hard it is, you have people talking to you about how difficult it is to get a visa, or like I remember when you guys were going through all that shit, and it was so insane.
Oh,
And I'm
yeah.
just like, oh yeah, I just have a passport for the US.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, so I moved over there because my mum's mum was diagnosed with cancer. So when I was a baby, we moved up to Oregon, and I lived there till I was about 7, and then we moved back to Australia.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, but like I had a full blown American accent, like was really um, brought up sort of the American way. But yeah, apparently it's like it, if you grow up somewhere before the age of 12, you'll just adapt to whatever the language is in the accent. But if
Oh,
it's
yeah.
after the age of 12, you keep whatever accent you had up until that point. So when we moved back to Australia, I lost the American accent and then I picked up the Australian accent. But now I've got like a kind of hybrid because I see my mum. My mum literally lives 5 minutes down the road from me, so I see
Oh,
her
that's
all the time. And yeah, I just like pick up the American accent from her. So I'll just randomly say stuff that sounds weird, and like I don't notice it, but yeah, I get people all the time that are like, "What the fuck? Where are you from?" I'm like,
that's so
Australia.
funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
So your mum's side, are they from Portland? Like
No,
they live
so
in?
they're from. They actually are from Arizona, and then they when they were kids, they used to take holidays to California, and that's where they would always spend their vacation time, and then they ended up moving to California, and living in San Diego, and that's where they're all now based in San Diego, which is like the best place ever. I love
Yeah,
San
that's so.
Diego. It's like my
Yeah,
second home.
same.
It's so cool. Like the people are just so chill, and everything's just easy to get to, and the weather's perfect all the time. Like,
Hard.
so yeah, it's a really cool place. But my parents ended up moving to Oregon because they were worried about the earthquakes, which is kind of funny because like my parents are not the type of people that would be like, you would never get that impression from them that they would be worried about shit like that. Like, who worries about earthquakes when you're moving to California?
Yeah,
Um,
they worry
but
about
yeah, I guess
earthquakes in
because
Portland.
they had two babies or something, so maybe they were like really overprotective. But
Yeah,
yeah, so they
probably.
picked Oregon, and we lived in Beaverton, which is not far from Portland. Beaverton, which is like the most retarded name. But there were beavers everywhere, dude. We lived in this cul-de-sac. I like have the best childhood memories of Oregon because it was just the coolest place. And like, because I don't think kids really grow up with the childhood that we grew up with, which was like
Mm-mm.
basically you just go outside, run around for the whole day, and then come home. And like
Yeah.
your parents are like, all right, see you later. And there's no
Mm.
like, there's no sort of, I'll come back at this time, or tell us where you're going. So yeah, I don't think kids really have that type of childhood now, but yeah, we lived on a cul-de-sac, so it was perfect. And at the end of the cul-de-sac, there was this massive forest, and like there was a pond, and then it was just like pretty much there was nothing. It's all been because I went to Oregon a few years ago, and I actually like went and saw my old house, and they've like developed everything and cut all of the trees down, which is really sad. But
Mm.
yeah, when I was there, it was just this full forest, and so my brother and I used to just run around there, and we'd see beavers there. There were tons of beavers. We used to
Dang.
play with like there was lots of garden snakes, like these
Mm.
little green snakes. So we used to like
Mm-hmm.
catch the snakes, and It was just the coolest childhood. And like, because Oregon has the best weather in terms of like you get all of the 4 seasons. So like in summer it gets really nice and hot, and then in winter like you can get snowed in sort of thing, which did happen to us one time. But yeah, it's like you get the best of everything, and you're only an hour away from Mount Hood, so you can go snowboarding and skiing, and it's like the mountain air. I don't know, there's just something about it. Did you feel that? Like when I lived in Oregon, I remember like distinctly, and I still think this, that the air was so fresh and so clean. Did it feel like that for you guys when you were there?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like it actually felt amazing driving into Portland, Oregon, like driving into Portland going, man, that feels different here, coming from the East Coast to the West Coast, you know what I mean?
It really does. Like, because I was thinking, have I made that, when you sort of like think back on memories like that and you're wondering if you've embellished them just for like nostalgic reasons.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, it has to have something to do with just the amount of trees and mountains that are around there for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like here in Austin, it's fucking hot. It is so hot. I mean, you're probably used to it, but it's fucking terrible. But I mean, you'll have your muggy days, you'll have your dry days, but it's always an awesome day. So
yeah, does it get humid? Like, is it humid a lot there, or?
Yeah, fuck yeah, it's so humid here.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is, and it's Texas, so you make do with what you got.
Totally. Yeah. I would absolutely prefer hot weather all the time than like even Melbourne. I'm like, why the fuck do I live in Melbourne? Because the weather is so cold in winter, and it's like I live in Australia. Why am I living in the coldest part of it? Like Tasmania doesn't really count, but yeah, it's seriously, it's like 9 degrees or something today, and the sun's out. Like it looks like it should be warm and nice, but it's just not. It's cold. I have a beanie on, hoodie. I've got the heater on, and I'm under blankets right now.
What? Are you serious?
Yeah. But I feel the cold. I think it's because of my Asian genes. Like I thrive in hot weather, humid weather. Like when I went to Bali, I was like, oh yeah, this weather's like, this is my thing. Like any Asian country, I'm totally fine in the weather. And whenever I'm with, like, because Wade's like white, looks like he's from the Aryan race, so whenever we go somewhere hot, he's like, oh my god, I'm dying.
Yeah.
And it's like we're just the complete opposite. Like he would love somewhere cold, like just putting on layers, and I'm just like, nah, like minimal clothing. I just want sun. I could literally go without winter for the rest of my life.
For real? I love winter, man. I love winter so much. And that's what I loved about Portland. Like, it rained all the time, but I loved how cold it was because I could just layer up. But the fucking rain just devastated me so much. But I mean, here in Austin, it's so hot, and Megan loves it. Like, the wife loves it so much. I'm still trying to get a hold of it, but I'm getting browner and browner by the fucking day. It's no joke.
You and I are both those type of people where it's like you step outside for 2 seconds and it's like you're 7 shades darker.
Oh, fuck yeah. It happens all the time. I can just feel my body getting browner by the second. I can just feel it happening. So something interesting happened with you recently. You posted... tell us what happened. To walk us through what happened.
All right. So, God, I don't know what it'd be now. A month and a half ago.
Definitely.
I know, geez, time goes quick. I was looking for a t-shirt that had like all of my favorite podcast people on it. So I wanted like something that had a bunch of Rogan's guests and like other podcasters, just all combined into one t-shirt. Because I thought, someone would have done it. So I was looking online, couldn't find anything. And I just thought, oh, well, fuck it, I'll just make it myself. Like, it can't be that hard. So, I mean, I've got Photoshop. So, yeah, I just went on to Photoshop and whipped up a design. And, yeah, it was, like, literally, I did it in, like, 2 days where I just, like, made the design, found a T-shirt printer in, like, Queensland or something to print me a T-shirt. And then... just, probably like a week later, got the t-shirt delivered and was like, yeah, sweet. Like, I'm really happy with this top, and didn't tell anyone. Like, Wade, when it all happened, why the fuck did you had a t-shirt made? And I was like, what? Because I just got a t-shirt made? Like, what's the big deal? And got the t-shirt delivered, and then posted a photo of it on Instagram. And tagged a bunch of people that, you know, I had put on the design. So, like, anyone that listens to Rogan's podcast would know, like, probably 95% of the people on the t-shirt, because, like, majority of them are guests and have their own podcasts because of him. But, yeah, so I put the photo up on Instagram and tagged a bunch of people and it was really funny because I remember, like, distinctly, it was Friday morning, posted the photo, and I tagged, because I think you can tag like 30 people, I don't know, 20 people in a max, post. Yeah. So anyway, I tagged a bunch, and I remember, like, really quickly, Christina Pajitsky liked my photo, and I was like, oh my God, like freaked out. I was like, she saw my picture. I was like so pumped. And then just like totally, I mean, I was at work, so like I was just, you know, doing my thing, and then a couple of hours later, my phone just starts blowing up, like, nonstop. It was almost like I had a virus, because it was just, like, notification after notification. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I saw some guy had commented on my picture saying, Rogan's just shared this, so your Instagram's going to blow up. And I was like, what the fuck? So then I went onto Rogan's Instagram account and saw that he had reposted it, and, like, said this is cool as fuck. I just, like, lost my shit. And it was, like, because I work in a really small office. There's only 2 other people in my office. And, like, those 2 people don't know, really. Like, I put on, like, a work personality in the office. Like, I'm not, enough, like, I don't really know. Like, I wouldn't go to them, oh, I made this t-shirt and this guy, Joe Rogan, posted it on Instagram. Like, that's, like, not a conversation that I would have in the office with them. So it was, like, there was no one that I could freak out with, because it was just, like, they wouldn't understand. So I'm just, like, sitting at my desk, like, pretending to be working when really I'm, like, looking at my Instagram and seeing, like, Joe Rogan getting thousands and thousands of likes on that picture that he reposted. And yeah, just, like, quietly losing my shit. And I remember, like, my whole body went really hot because I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? And yeah, and then, like, seriously, and then I just got, like, I don't know, over 2,000 followers almost, like, instantly, just, like, I just couldn't keep track, and, like, so many people commenting on it and messaging me being like, where can I get this t-shirt? You need to make this t-shirt. Like, so it was, I was like, oh, okay, I guess I have to make this t-shirt then, because I just had no idea. And when I posted my own photo of it, it was funny because my friend Vincent commented on it being like, whoa, you made that t-shirt? He's like, can I get one made? I was like, yeah, dude, like, I'll organize it for you. It's, like, so funny. And then, yeah, it just, after Rogan posted it, obviously, like, it just blew up. But, so yeah, and then I got home, and, I mean, lucky it was a Friday night, because I literally stayed up till, like, 2 a.m. to get everything organized. And I seriously just got online. I'm like, I have experience in building websites, so I like, the website part, I was like, yeah, cool, I'll build a website in, like, an hour. But, yeah, it was just trying to find a t-shirt distributor. So I, like, just went online trying to find, I literally called my mum driving home, and I was like, my mum's retired, so she's, like, at my beck and call, does whatever I want, because she just has a life of luxury. It's the best life. But yeah, so I just called her up being like, can you go online and start looking for t-shirt printers and distributors? So she started looking online, and then I called Wade and was like, all we're doing tonight is setting up a website and getting this shit going. He was like, yeah, okay, cool. And then, yeah, I got home, found this t-shirt distributor, and because I was like, I'm gonna have to just go with someone that can do everything. Like, I don't have the foundation to start, like, a proper t-shirt business.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I found this company, really cool. Like, just literally have an account with them. It's free to have an account, and then you just upload your designs, and you sync it all up with your e-commerce site, which is what I did. And yeah, just put it all up online and did it in, like, 6 hours or something. It's like, fuck, the internet it's like, isn't it amazing at how quickly you can make your own business? Like, whether or not it's successful is another story, but just the fact that like we have that ability to, you would never be able to do that 10 years ago even.
Exactly. Like, it's funny you say that because, like, yeah, I saw on your Instagram, and I was looking at your Instagram stories, and I just saw the pages and pages and pages of people that are waiting for their fulfillment on their orders. And I think you and me, we use the same apparel principle as the one that I use.
Yeah, they're sick. Yeah, so good.
I saw your fulfillment pages, and I was like, hey, we use the same company. But going back to what you said, like, you can easily just come up with a design or ask someone to do a design like on Fiverr.com and say, this is what I want and I want it done. I'll pay you $5. And then you go on Printerful, upload your design, and then boom, you've got a shop right there to like start making money. So when I saw that on your Instagram page, I was like, holy shit, like, this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages, 6 pages of people. How did it, like, was it over? I mean, obviously it was overwhelming. That's kind of, goes without saying. But when these orders were coming in, and you're like I guess I'm assuming here is one person, team going and putting these orders in. Was it getting a little overwhelming at times?
Oh, yeah. Like, Friday, I didn't eat. I barely slept. I got to bed at, like, 3 and just couldn't sleep, and then woke up at 6 and was, like, straight back at it. I, did not do anything the entire weekend. And it was so exciting that it didn't matter. Like, I didn't... it wasn't like, oh, poor me. I was like, this is the coolest thing that's ever happened to me, and I'm going to ride this wave as long as possible. But, yeah, it was... Do you know what? I was really worried about how it would come out because obviously I hadn't gotten any samples from them.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because I had the original design that I had done was just with some random one-off printing company. So that was the thing that was really freaking me out. I was so stressed that the t-shirts would come out shitty, or like the design wouldn't look good or something. And I was just really nervous that I like didn't have samples to just be like, okay, cool, this is at the quality that I want it to be. So
gotcha.
I just had to rely on like the reviews of the product, because obviously they have a bunch of different brands that you can choose from. So I just used the reviews as a guidance, and then the other thing too I was freaking out about was like, because I had used Printful before, and like they do everything, which is it's like so easy. But I was just sort of like, oh, I hope that these guys are legit, and like this whole thing is going to work out and just run smoothly, which it did. Like I've only had one issue this entire time, and it was just like a little like a dye mark, and they replaced it immediately. So like apart from that though, it's just been such an easy process. So yeah, that was the thing that just freaked me out the most. And because there were so many, and I didn't expect the orders coming through at the rate that they did. I didn't expect that either. Like, I figured that people, when people say shit like that, where they're like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna buy that, I really want a t-shirt like that, and you're like, oh yeah, cool. But like then you get like 5 orders and you're like, oh sweet. So I just had no idea. Like, I could not gauge how popular it would be. But yeah, that literally, as soon as I posted that people could buy it, it was like coming in every couple of minutes. My phone would ding with a new order. And it was like that for the whole weekend. It was so insane. And it's cool because I still get orders. I still get at least one order a day.
That's so insane. That's great though.
Yeah, and do you know what is so funny is that I have, like, as a secret dream of mine, I've always wanted to design a t-shirt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, I love cool t-shirts, and I just had always wanted to design my own t-shirt, and like, I just never really thought about it or didn't do anything about it because I figured I'm not a graphics designer, first of all.
Yeah.
So the extent of my designs are like limited to how much I can do on Photoshop. And yeah, I just hadn't really thought of like an interesting design. Plus, I was like, there's a billion t-shirt businesses. I'm not going to start my own t-shirt business. Like,
oh yeah, totally.
That was a terrible business decision. But yeah, it was just like fucking so lucky that Rogan posted it, and and then when Cameron Haynes, like, by the way, Cameron Haynes is the fucking nicest guy on the planet. He, like, I messaged him because he commented on my Instagram post saying, I will buy these, like, I want some. So I messaged him being like, oh, don't worry, I'll send you some for free. And he was like, no, I want to support your business, so I'll buy them. It's like, fuck, that's cool.
The man.
Yeah, and then he bought 2 tops, and then on one of his Instagram stories he posted him running in it, and like people were messaging me being like, "Did you see Cam running in your t-shirt?" And then I reshared that on my Instagram, and then he messaged me saying, "Oh, he's like, I've got a clean one that I'm gonna wear when I go see Rogan's show." And because Rogan was doing a show at somewhere, I don't know where he was, Utah maybe or something like that. And anyway, yeah, so he did the show, and he was like, oh, I'll get a photo with him in my t-shirt. And I was like, fuck, man, that is so nice of you. Thank you so much. Just like a full class act. And then, yeah, like a couple of hours later, he puts up this fucking video of him talking with Joe, and it's hilarious because, like, do you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of like a parent that's like really proud of their kid, and then they're trying to like get someone else to acknowledge what their kid has done, but the other person's like not really that interested. Like he's like talking to Joe about the t-shirt, and you can see that Joe's like, what the fuck? Like, why are we talking about this? But, I mean, I'll fucking take it, man, like regardless of how awkward it is. But yeah, so yeah, he put that video up, and again, like my Instagram blew up because it was just like more people finding out about it. But yeah, he like did all of that for nothing. Like there was no, do you know what I mean? Like there was no, Cam wasn't getting anything out of that, but he did it anyway, just to be like supportive. Like it just, I think that's like the really cool thing about when you're part of the podcast community. And I think because podcasting is so authentic, like it's so honest, and there's really no editing, and it's not like something scripted that you would watch on TV. So you really get like an idea of who that person is. And I think like from this experience for me, it's just reiterated why I love listening to podcasts and the people behind the podcast, because it just established for me how real they are and how nice they are, and like the fact that Cam did all of that for no gains at all for himself. Just like for me, I was like, oh yeah, like it's exactly the way I thought it was. He's as nice in person as he is on the podcast. And I've spoken to a few of the other guys that I had on the t-shirt as well, like Daniele Bolelli.
Yep.
He was like super nice, added me on Facebook, like read my blog post, and just like comments on shit that I put up, sent me pictures of him in Tuscany wearing his t-shirt. So yeah, like it's just really rad to know that people that you look up to are actually good people, you know what I mean? Because you couldn't say that about like celebrities, you know, like are there I don't know. I just feel like the podcasting community is so interesting in that way, because people can like really identify with it.
Well, the crazy thing about being in the podcast community, or just when I say being a part of it, like listening to the shows, you can definitely tell when people they put up a facade, or they, the more episodes that they do, or the longer the conversation goes on, you can see that their facade kind of drop and go down.
Totally.
And you know what I mean?
Why Rogan's is so interesting, because it's 3 hours. So like the first hour, someone may be trying to put up their guard or whatever, trying to pretend that there's something that they're not. And then by the end of the 3 hours, it's like they've really eased into it, relaxed, and you kind of get a better idea of who they are. But that's funny that you say, because like when I think about the being part, like you feel like you're part of the podcast, because when you listen to it, it's like you're actually in the conversation. And I don't know if you ever watch any of the podcasts that you listen to on YouTube. I don't. Like rarely I'll watch them on YouTube. But sometimes I'll do, like on a Friday night, I'll just chuck on something, put on one of the podcasts on YouTube. and maybe smoke a joint and then watch it. And it's like, I actually just feel like I'm in the room, like at the table, hanging out with whoever's on. And it's like, it's just an experience that you don't get from anything else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely. I like watching the fight companion ones.
Oh my God.
Just kind of
funny.
Yeah, just kind of throw those ones on, and it's funny because they'll just start ranting on about the most random stuff, but you're almost okay with it because it doesn't really matter. It's just normal conversations, and even when I have guests on the show, I always tell them that, the only difference between that what we're doing now is that we're having a normal conversation that we would normally have on an everyday basis, but I'm just pressing the record button. That's the only difference that should be happening right now, is that I've pressed this shiny red button and now everything we talk about is going to be recorded. And and at that moment, that's when people either start to like close in on themselves or they'll start to just normally talk. You know what I mean?
It's so funny how it can make such a difference. Like when someone knows that they're being recorded. Like I've been blogging. I started my blog back in 2012, and I've been writing in it consistently since that time. And like I love it because I just need some type of outlet for like my thoughts and just like how to gather my opinions and discuss things openly. And it's such a great platform, but there is a part of it where I can perfect it. Like I can proofread it several times. I can make sure that there's no spelling mistakes, there's no, grammatical errors, that I've been able to eloquently explain my position in the best way possible. And it's a very safe medium in that sense. Like some of the topics I discuss aren't safe, definitely. Like I talk about some things that are controversial and that aren't popular. I have unpopular opinions on certain things. And so like there's risk in putting content like that out there. And especially, like if you Googled my name, most of that would come up. So you would quickly find out, like, my beliefs and the type of person that I am, which, would be beneficial sometimes, and it would probably be a hindrance other times because, for whatever reason, if I was going for a job maybe and someone like Googled me, they might not like what they read. But it's such the blogging aspect is like, it's a very safe way to express yourself. And I've been wanting to get into podcasting, but the reason why I hadn't was because of the fact that I thought, well, it's the blogging part. I like being able to put out this. And it's not perfect. I'm not saying that, but I like to be able to put out this expression in a way that's controlled, and I know exactly what's going to happen. And podcasting sort of scared me because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like how I am just off the cuff. And so I just had sort of been avoiding it. And then I started trying to up my Instagram story game and practicing talking to the camera, because I felt the same way. I was like, I'm fucking weird in front of the camera. Like, this is strange. And like when you see yourself or like when you hear yourself, you're like, is that what I sound like? Like, what the fuck? So the first couple of days of me putting up videos on my Instagram story, I was like, oh, this is giving me a weird feeling. But you totally just get used to it, and then it becomes something that you just adapt to, and then you really enjoy. And like, I'm totally enjoying the aspect of the stories part, is that I can, because like in the way that I put together my blog posts, is that, because like they'll take me a really long time to put together. It's stuff that I think about and mull over, and or like shit that's happened to me that I think's interesting or funny to write about, and and then when I compile it all into a post, that takes me maybe 3 or 4 hours to put together. But sometimes like there's little things that happen that I think would be interesting to talk about, but I just can't get them in, write them down in the way that I want to. And so the stories are so good that way, because like it's just 15-second videos and you can do little rants, and it's just such an easy way to get to get things across quickly. And like, because I'll write stuff in my phone. If you go into my notes on my phone, it's just like points. It's like sort of like a stand-up comedian writes down bits, like ideas for bits. I just write down ideas for blog posts and Instagram stories. And like, it's just like, and if you read it, you would be like, what the fuck? Like, because it's all just like non-coherent, just like totally doesn't make sense. But it's just trigger words that remind me, oh yeah, that happened. Like the other day I was driving home from work, and I was going to rant about it, but I was driving, so I was like, I can't fuck with my phone while I'm driving. But I was driving home, and you know when you're driving, if you like drive the same route every day, you're very familiar with like where the choke points are, where it's like a smooth drive, where it's always, you know, backed up with traffic. And so I'm driving down the road, and it's normally a smooth part of the drive, and it was just like bumper to bumper, just out of control. I was like, what the fuck? It must be an accident or something. Anyway, get up to the point where I thought the accident was. Turns out it's a fire truck, but the fire truck is down a side street. So it's not even on the road that we're all driving on. It's down the side street, but everyone's like slowing down to look and see this fucking fire truck down the side street. It's like, are we 5 years old? Like, yes, it's a red fire engine, everyone. Let's continue on, because we all want to get home. Like, stop looking at the fucking fire truck. Like, shit like that, I'll just, like, write that down, and then I have something to you know, put up on Instagram or write in my blog. But, yeah, dude, it's, like, it's really interesting when you start working on how you express yourself through a form like that. And it's so funny when you get feedback from people about it. Like, because the thing that I'm really loving about Instagram right now is I've got this like little community. I have this little community of people that all dig the same stuff that I dig, and like all think that, you know, whatever, like exercise, jiu-jitsu, yoga, like fucking keto diet or paleo or kale shakes, like whatever the fuck. Everyone's into like that sort of the same things. And it's really interesting because I get so much feedback from people like messaging me saying how they, you know, people send me photos of like their made beds, because I did a story about making your bed in the morning, which is like totally hackneyed. Like everyone, it's like a well-known thing now in terms of like motivational shit that's been put up online, is making your bed the first thing, because it's like you know, it's the first task of the day, and you feel accomplished, and sets your day up. And anyway, I posted something about that because I had started doing it a few months ago and found that it was actually really beneficial. And then I like instantly started getting people sending me photos of their made beds, being like, started making my bed because of this. Or like some guy was like, oh, I've been doing this since like 2014. I'm like, okay, you were doing it before it was cool, right? So yeah, it's like, I think that, and you would feel that as well, obviously, with Honor and Conquer. Like it's this connection that you have with people, and people that you have never even met in real life. Like most of the people that I talk to on Instagram are people I've never met. But I've met so many cool people just from this fucking t-shirt. It's like, it's just so amazing. And it's really, I think it's interesting when you think about this, like how fulfilling it is to feel like you're a part of a community like that. You know, with when you're thinking about like tribalism and how we're drawn to being, you know, part of something bigger than just ourselves, and everyone sort of working together. I think that's the really interesting thing about being part of some type of community, even if it's not a physical community. You know, this is all digital. This is a digital community. It's almost like a virtual community, and it still has the same impact for me anyway. But yeah, I mean, do you feel that with your Honor and Conquer community? Because yours has like grown exponentially since you started.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even with like just podcasting in general, I started it just because conversations in general are just such an art form, and we are always on the go, day to day. We barely have time to either hang out with people or catch up with whatever. So I really just started the show just to sit down and chat to my friends about, just stuff. And I literally just started the podcast with an iPad and using the built-in microphone on the iPad, and that was it. Like I started doing that. Yeah. Started recording shows.
Full ghetto setup.
Yeah. Like I didn't give a fuck about anything. I just wanted to record a show and put it out there once a week, every Tuesday or Monday. Now it's Monday, but every Tuesday back then. But then when it gets tricky, when the gear and what you need for a show, that's all whatever. Like I don't give a shit about any of that stuff. But it's when people, and I don't mean listeners, I mean sponsors get involved. When sponsors get involved, it gets really, really tricky because they want to give you a script to read, but you're not allowed to like cuss as much. You're not allowed to say fuck as much. But before, usually before I sign contracts, and I'm this happened with two sponsored companies. They didn't want me to swear as much. So I was like, nah, fuck that. Like you can keep your money, man. I don't. You're basically saying change the show. Like that's basically what you're saying. You're saying change the feel of the show, and it's gonna ruin the integrity.
My mom said the same thing about my writing on my blog. She was like, "Oh, you should be careful about how much you swear on it." And I was like, "Fuck that." That's the way that I talk. It's the way that I write. Like I'm not going to compromise that because it makes some people feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. And when you read, like, for going back to the podcast, like with our show, we've been doing this for like when I say we, I mean me. I've been doing everything. So we've been doing this for like 3+ years. And like companies, when I tell them the rundown, it's like, hey, this is the show. I do swear. I say cunt and I say fuck. Like I'm saying stuff that in America is not a good word to say anything like that. And they either go, oh no, it'll be fine. And then they find out real quick that, oh shit, like, yeah, you do swear a lot. And then they have to, it's happened with multiple companies throughout the 3 years that I've been doing this bloody show.
Man, isn't it so, you just find it so weird that like the sounds that we make out of our mouth are still an issue to people. Like the fact that swearing in 2017 is still such a problem. Like I was talking to someone about this the other day. I think it was someone from Instagram, and how you can watch a movie on TV, you can watch someone get raped, you can watch someone's head get exploded, you can watch fucking like child molestation pretty much, and that's all fine to portray in a movie, but you can't say cunt.
Yeah, pretty much.
No, say cunt. Sometimes you can't say fuck, depending on the channel. But it's like it's this weird. It's like I don't understand where the standards come from. Like you can show gory violence, but you can't make this sound.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny.
I don't get it.
It's funny because I mean, I say all that stuff, but I was very careful around when I was doing the podcast with Andrea Ager. I was very careful. But that's like when I have
She's
guests
so wholesome, though, you kind of are like, I have to be. But like Rogan, I think that's normal because Rogan does that too. Like if he has certain guests on that are, just like a really whatever established guests that he knows, aren't going to dig his real sweary vibe, then he seems to ease off of it. But yeah, I feel you. Andrea's like she's so cool, by the way. Like, did you have fun talking with her? She's so sweet.
Yeah, man, it was pretty fun. We actually really didn't talk about CrossFit a lot. We just talked about relationships and and her faith a lot because I'm agnostic. I don't I'm on the fence on everything, but my wife is Catholic. My wife is Catholic, but I wanted to talk to her about her faith and her relationship with her God and the balance
She's
between.
Catholic as well, yeah. Is she Catholic or is she just Christian?
I can't remember now. I can't even remember anything.
Yeah,
I think she's just Christian.
Yeah, okay.
But I just wanted to talk to her about like her, and because every interview she's done and every podcast she's done, it's always been about CrossFit. It's always been about the regionals. It's always been about the games. It's like, I mean, that's all well and good, but you don't really fucking know anything about it. Like, what does she think on a day-to-day basis? You know what I mean? That's the stuff that I give a shit about, not what place do you think you're going to get at the games, which she actually acknowledges in the podcast. She says, I could talk all day about CrossFit. And it's like, well, I don't want to. So this is my show, motherfucker. Yeah. I do what I want. No, I didn't say that, though.
Well, because I did a seminar with her when she was down in Melbourne, and
we actually talked about you before the show. It's like, you're in Australia, and you're on the. I said, my friend Bonnie was in one of your photos. She's like, oh yeah, the chick that broke her neck. I was like, yeah, that's her.
That's so funny. Yeah, she's it was awesome. But I actually got that from her as well, because she's during her seminar, she talks a lot about her sort of like her personal life and how she found CrossFit and like the impact that's had on her, and so I definitely got like more of like that personal story, which was really interesting. And but she's so passionate about CrossFit. It's like she's really one of those people where you're like, oh yeah, she's going to be in this like for the rest of her life.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, you can just tell when they talk about things that they love and that they're passionate about, that they're going to just keep doing that forever.
Yeah,
which is why I love doing podcasting.
Yeah, and I think it's because I would love to get on when I start my podcast. I'm looking at the guests that I want to have on. But yeah, because I'm so fascinated with religion. It's like I find that's for me, it's like just a topic that I could research and discuss, listen to, whatever, like forever. It never gets boring for me. Just understand, and it's just all aspects of it too. Like I'm fascinated with each religion itself and the stories and like the foundations and the history, and then just people in general and like the behavior around the impact that religion has on human behavior, and it's because I don't know many religious people. Like for the most part, most of my friends don't have a stance on religion. Like, they'll just sort of be like, oh, I don't know. Like, I don't really, it's not, something that they think about. Or I've got friends that are like me that are atheist or, agnostic. And then, very few that are religious. And it's just like I never really get the opportunity to talk with someone that's super religious.
Yeah, it's funny because like Megan, like when I said my wife she's Catholic, and when she was talking about the Bible to me, she said, even if you don't believe in God or Jesus, these make some really gnarly stories. I was like, that's perfect. Like, just read the stories and be like, whoa, these are cool stories. So it's funny because in that moment, I didn't really associate that with the Bible. I associated the word true with the Bible, and that's what religious people believe, is that the truth is in the Bible. But I didn't really necessarily make the fuck, I don't even know the fucking word, the link between just read these stories and they're pretty gnarly, even if you believe it or not. It's like, okay.
Right. Yeah, and I've heard that said a lot. It's just like people saying, even if you take the religion out of it, these stories are still super interesting and they still have valuable messages in them, which I don't deny. And like, I think it's hard because for me anyway, it's difficult because I guess like I remember being so young and being fascinated with religion, and like when I was probably 5 or 6, like I was super young. I remember I asked my parents, and my parents aren't religious. My mom's not religious. She's very anti-religion. My dad's very spiritual. He practiced Buddhism for a long time, but now he's just sort of like he thinks that he knows what it's all about, like what's going to happen when he dies. So he's just like, okay, I've established that, and from the experiences that he's had, you know, he's happy with that, and he's like certain. Like when I talk to him about it, he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm certain that that's what happens. So, which is fine, like, because everyone has their own belief system and you know, whatever. But so it's like I never had and my parents, like, I honestly had such a great childhood because my parents just let me do whatever I wanted. Like if I wanted to learn something new, or if I wanted to go take some class or whatever, they were like, yeah, totally. Like they did not hold me back from doing anything. So
Yeah.
like I want to go to Bible school on like Sunday school, and they're like, okay. So like, I remember I wanted to go because I remember I knew lots of, because like obviously in America there's way more religious people than there are in Australia, and so most of my friends were religious, and they all went. So I was like, I want to go because I want to be part of it. You know, which is another key thing with religion, is being part of a community, and which I think is definitely beneficial. But yeah, so I went, and what they would do is that you would learn a passage from the Bible. Everyone had to learn the same passage, and then the next week you would have to remember word for word that passage, and if you could recite it, you'd get a ribbon. And I was like, I want one of those fucking ribbons. So I went the next weekend, couldn't remember anything, and I was like, fuck this, I'm out. So yeah, I didn't get my ribbon, and it was like, all right, that's it. Religion's dead to me now. No, but when we moved to Australia and had to, because all the private schools are, all the private schools have some fucking religious base to them. So I went to an Anglican school, and we had to go to chapel every Tuesday. That was up until you got to high school, and then when you got to high school, like when you were 13 or whatever, you didn't have to go anymore. It was optional. But yeah, before that, you had to go every Tuesday, and I remember even at like 8 years old, resenting the fact that I was being forced to go and sit in church and like listen to some priest wearing a weird outfit tell me like a story about how Jesus turned water into wine, or like I just remember having so much doubt and thinking like, how is this fully grown man telling me this stuff that for me is clearly not true. Like there's nothing about this that makes me believe that this actually happened. And the fact that I'm being forced here to sit and listen and pray and say amen and like, you know, whatever, it was just, the whole thing gave me such a negative vibe that it just, from that point on, I was like, nah, fuck this. This is not what I think. I'm not into this. And then as I got a bit older, like I looked into Buddhism just because of my dad. I was like, oh yeah, I'll see what Buddhism is about, and I thought it was cool. You know, everyone thinks that Buddhism's cool, so looked into that and started coming up with like I remember being like 12 and like really deeply thinking about what happens when we die. And I think that's when I just started having this fascination with death. And it's just something that I've never been able to shake, like this obsession that I have with death. And I mean, I say obsession because it just is like always something that's in the back of my mind. And it's sort of like I sort of have an anxiety around it, I guess, because like I have a big fear of death. It's definitely something that I'm like not comfortable with, and I haven't really experienced much death in my life in terms of like family members dying or anything like that. So it's such a unknown to me. And you know, like when you meet people that have experienced death, and that's, you know, from someone close to them that's died, or you know, they've seen it firsthand or whatever, like they seem to be like a lot more settled with it, and also because of the fact that I'm an atheist, for me, if I die, then that's it. Like that's the end of the road. So, which is a really terrifying. It's a terrifying sort of prospect that, you know, this is it. Like you have X amount of years, and then you just go back to the way you were before you were born, which was nothing. So, and I only really embraced that this year, because I always, once I realized that I thought that all of religion was bullshit, I turned to being agnostic, because I felt like I didn't want to. I always thought that atheism was like too hardcore, in the sense that it was on the same level as people that were religious, because people that are religious say that they know what happens. And I sort of felt the same way with atheism, being like, well, aren't atheists saying that they know that nothing exists? But I don't think it's the same, because I feel like atheists are like are saying, we, from the evidence that we have, this is the most likely scenario, which is that there is no God, and this just happened from, billions of years of evolution and whatever else. Do you know what I mean? Like, there was no creator, nothing was made by design. This is all just, if you like read or listen to anything that Richard Dawkins has said, he puts it in a much more coherent way than I am. But yeah, basically, like, they're just saying this, from everything, all the data that we have, the most likely scenario is that there is no God. So we're going to stick with that. And so I think I just, like, this year was like, you know what, I actually don't think that there is a God. And I've just been sort of saying that I'm agnostic, because I didn't want to accept the fact that that when I die, that I'm not, my spirit isn't going anywhere, or I'm not going to be reincarnated, So once I accepted that, and I'm like, if someone came up to me tomorrow and was like, hey, here's the evidence that there's a God, I'd be like, fuck yeah, sweet. Like, I would rather that. But I mean, for me, it's just, it doesn't seem to be the case. And everything that I've experienced in life, and from what I've seen, I just find it hard to believe that there is a God, and that, things happen for a reason, and, God has a plan, all of that stuff. It just doesn't, it doesn't resonate with me at all. And I think if you're in the position where you accept the fact that this is it and there's nothing else, I think it does change your behavior. And it changes the way that you live your life, because if you live your life thinking that you're going to have another life after this, there's so much comfort in that, and you can sort of just cruise along. Yeah, exactly. And if you know that, I know, like, literally, when I die, that's it, that's the end. I definitely think that it gives you this sense of urgency, being like, well, fuck, man, I need to get my shit together and, like, actually do something that's worthwhile, and that's, fulfilling, and that, and I think that's what's so terrifying about being an atheist, is that all of the pressure is put on you to make your life as fulfilling as possible, and it's so difficult to find out what that is. Like, what is it that fulfills you, and how can you do it as much as possible, instead of getting stuck into a fucking 9-to-5 grind for the rest of your life, working for a shitty company that you hate, and, living in a mediocre relationship, and you don't like the house that you're in, or the neighborhood that you're in, or whatever. Like, everyone's got something. But yeah, when you know that the clock's ticking, and you only have a certain amount of years to get everything that you want done, that fucking gives me anxiety.
I always think about, like, how am I being productive today? Like, am I being productive by, like today and yesterday actually were massive throwaway days for me. But like, I mean, every day it has to be, the question is, how am I being productive today, and how can I use my time wisely? So I kind of just take it day by day. And I mean, I'm turning 30 this weekend, So it's like, man, I'm getting old, but it's all good.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out as we go, man.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing too, is like, I've really been struggling with finding the right balance between living in the present moment and just and like living that day-to-day life, but then also being super aware of like the bigger picture and why I'm doing what I am doing right now so that it contributes to my future. Like I think at 25, so I'm like so happy for the position that I'm in because I feel like it on the scale of like having my shit together, I'm pretty high up on it. And I've been working full time since I was, I don't know, like 19. So, because I dropped out of uni, so like I'm used to like that day-to-day grind in the office lifestyle. But at the same time, that working those hours has allowed me to buy a house and start working on how I'm going to be able to, because like I want to fucking retire at 40. Like I want to work hard and work as much as possible up until a certain point, and then when I get to 40, I want to be like, yeah, sweet, like I've set myself up so that I now don't have to worry about this anymore.
Yeah.
But it sucks because when you're in your 20s, you don't want to be working those hours. You don't want to be saving money. You don't want to be living on a fucking budget. Like, you want to be traveling. You want to be experiencing life while you're young and, like, you have, no responsibilities and no commitments. And so it's like I'm always stuck between those two lifestyles because when, like, the spontaneous young... Like, I did do that just for a shorter amount of time. But, I've got tons of friends that are all living that life, and I look at it being like, oh man, like, that looks like fun, I want to do that. But yeah, I just have to, I have to remind myself why I'm living the way that I am and sort of like what the end goal is. But yeah, I feel you, like it's one of those things where you think, like, my big question always is like, how am I contributing? Like, what am I contributing to, or like, what's the impact that I'm having? On this life that's outside of myself and like my inner circle, and that I find is so hard to establish, because if you're if you're someone like me, it's like, well, you maybe you put up something creative online or whatever, but how are you going to turn that into something that you could actually do full time?
Totally.
And like, that's everyone's dream, right? To turn their passions and their hobbies into something that they can do full time, and it's very rare that actually happens.
Yeah, it's funny because only recently I've started really focusing on taking the podcast full time. I've always had the saying of, oh no man, you don't do it for the money, you do it because you love it. And then eventually on the way, it's like, well, I mean, that's all well and good, but it'll be nice to make some money so you don't have to go to a fucking 9 to 5. So how about live that dream for a little bit? And so you can be like those people you see on Instagram that are posting those, those photos on the beach or whatever. But it's totally. Like, and at the same time, going back to the Instagram people, it's like, I mean, yeah, that looks good and it makes you feel good on the inside. But I mean, I don't give a fuck, because at the end of the day, they're going to have to go home anyway. So that's like their trip.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. It's like, yeah, totally. Like, and I think the other thing too is, we show our best lives on social media.
Yeah.
And, no one's going to post. I mean, on my Instagram stories, I'll say shit where I'm upset or like something's pissed me off or whatever. And I'll put that up. But for the most part, like, your social media is your highlight reel. So you always have to take that with a grain of salt, because you know that at the end of the day, like, no one's life is perfect and everyone's got something going on with them. It's easy to point blame or be the victim or like, say something negative to someone just because you've got a keyboard in front of you. But, you've never for the most part, all the people that you have on Instagram, you've never even met them before. So like you have no idea what that person is like. And I think it's hard to pass judgment on someone just from seeing some photos of like videos that they put up. You just you have no idea what's going on. I did the have you guys done the Landmark Forum?
No, so I've been offered twice to go, and both times have just not worked out. And actually now Lululemon have completely abandoned the Landmark Forum.
Have they really?
Yeah, they've gone away with it. The new CEO is like, Landmark isn't for everyone, so you can take it if you want, but you don't have to anymore. That was that. That was that last year, and then this year he was kind of like, nah, fuck it, you don't have to do it. You can go on this retreat though, and just hang out with like all the store managers and shit, and just hang out for a weekend if you want. I was like, oh,
that sounds alright.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
Like I get that, and like I think that the Landmark is definitely not for everyone, and as much as it gets a bad rap for being a cult and like just trying to steal people's money and whatever the fuck, it's. I mean, it definitely changed my life, and I know it's changed so many other people's lives. But one of the things that I took away from it, because it comes in the curriculum, as they like to call it. There's 3 different parts. So the first part is the forum, and then the second part is the advanced course, and then the third part is the self-expression and leadership program.
Yeah.
So and that last part, SELP. It goes for like 6 months. So it's like a long commitment. Yeah, because the forum's like 3 days, and then the advanced course is 3 days. But they're full-on days. It's like 9 till 11 at night or something.
Fuck that, man.
Yeah. And they're intense. Like, they are just... It's so fucking intense. But the one of the biggest things that I took away from it was that everybody has shit. Like, everybody. No matter what, no matter how much you think that person's living a perfect life, or, if you think that person's got their shit together, like, every single person has had something happen to them or has something going on with them, and you never know. So keep that in mind, and I try and keep that in mind if I meet someone that's, someone that's rude, or like, whatever. You meet someone that's got a shitty vibe or whatever the fuck it is, like, I have to remind myself, being like, oh, well, who knows what's going on with them right now.
Yeah.
Like, maybe they have, like, this one guy that I did the forum with, he had a 4-year-old son that was terminally ill, and he's like, I just don't know how to live. I don't know what to do. Like, he was just so lost, because he's like, he's my son, like, my entire life, and I know that he's going to die in a couple of years, and there's nothing I can do about it. And I was just, like, blown away, being like, fucking hell. Like, when you think you have problems,
yeah,
and then you hear shit like that, people that have been raped, like, people that have been abused by their parents, it's just like this. And there's, when you go into the forum, it's like, I don't know, you're in a room with maybe a couple of 100 people, and they're all different walks of life. But I just was so amazed at how many people have had something so horrific happen to them. Like, it was unreal, and it's just, I think the forum has, like, do you ever listen to anything that Anthony Robbins does?
No.
He's, you know who he is though, right?
No.
Like, oh, really?
I have no idea.
Tony Robbins? He's like the most...
Tony Robbins. I thought you said Anthony Robbins. I was like, okay, I don't know who Anthony is.
His full name's Anthony. Tony Robbins. Yeah, so, like, his whole thing is, like, I don't know if you've seen any of his, like, motivational speeches or whatever, but a lot of the stuff, a lot of the techniques that he uses to help people get over traumatic things that have happened in their lives is, 100% he's taken it from the forum, because the forum was around before Landmark was around before he started, and he did do the Landmark Forum. So I'm pretty sure that he jacked a lot of the theory from it and then just sort of rejigged it to work in a way that was a bit more appealing to people.
Yeah.
Because the forum can come across a little bit, I guess it has more of that cult vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure he's jacked it. But what I can say in defense of Landmark is that it allows you to look at things that have happened to you, and you can separate what actually happened and then the story that you created around that event that happened. So, and really when you think about it, like our whole life is just us creating stories about things that have happened to us. So we put meaning behind everything, whether we know we are, or like, you know, you could subconsciously be doing it. You don't even know that you're applying meaning to it, but straight away you'll do it. Like if you meet someone that's rude, straight away you're like, oh fuck, like, well, fuck that person, or, you know, that person's mean, or that person doesn't like me because of this, you know, and you start just like going through your head all these reasons why someone did something, when at the end of the day they just did something. Like remove the story and remove all the meaning and the emotion and whatever else you're attaching to it. But when you look at it just in its like raw form, it's just something that happened and that's it. Don't put anything else on it. Don't put any other shit attached to it. Just leave it as is. And that for me was like the most powerful thing that I've ever really been told is just to like, when you look at your life and you're evaluating things that have happened to you and that have had an impact on you, and just removing the meaning from it. It takes away, when you remove the meaning from things, it puts all the power back in your hands. You know, you're no longer playing the victim, because when you're in the position where you can just look at something and say, oh yeah, well that just happened, that's it, there's nothing else to it, you're the one that's in control. It's when you start putting meaning behind everything that you become the victim to your own stories, and the victim, the fucking victim card is like so prevalent in our society now. Everyone's a fucking victim to something, you know. Everyone's a victim to privilege or to your circumstances. You know, you're a victim because you're stuck in a shitty job. You're a victim because you're stuck in traffic. Like everyone just puts themselves in this position of victimhood, and it's not empowering. When you feel like you're not in control, that's when you start. That's when you really start losing all motivation in life. You know, like I had to deal with this with my fucking. Because I got a new job at the start of the year, and it's at least an hour away from where I live.
Oh wow!
I'm not a commuter. Like most of my life, I have lived within 10 minutes of my work, and have always tried to live that lifestyle because I grew up with my dad always commuting, and I just saw like the physical and mental toll that it took on him, spending hours traveling, and I just sort of was like, oh yeah, I'm never going to be in that position. But it was just an opportunity that I couldn't miss, and so I had to take it. But yeah, I was like, okay, this is going to be difficult. This, like, spending at least 2 hours in the car is going to suck, and I'm going to have to figure out a way to not let it become something that's going to really have an effect on me. And it did at first. Like, I would come home and I'd feel shitty and tired and I didn't want to do anything, and I'd be grumpy because, you know, some cunt cut me off or whatever the fuck. But yeah, I just started having to remind myself, okay, this is your choice. Like, you chose to do this. You chose to take this drive. So you're not a victim of the traffic. You've chosen to be in this traffic, and so own it and own that decision, and just live in that, and be okay with that. And it's like, it sounds like such hippie bullshit when you say it out loud. But when you actually practice it, it does. It makes such a difference, because just being back in that position of power and back in that position of choice. And I find it so useful in like going back to just the foundations of Landmark. I've found it so useful to be able to implement that into things that you would think are, you know, maybe not really significant.
Yeah.
But really, like, they are. You just don't realize it, like being stuck in traffic.
Yeah, totally. And it's always one of those things as well. I try to simplify it even more. And before we wrap this up, I try to simplify it more by just saying, like, okay, you're unhappy, change it. Like, how are you going to change it?
Right.
Figure it out. Like, okay, cool.
Totally.
Sweet. So this is what we do to need to change it. Make a real quick action 1-2 punch plan, and then go ahead and change it. Like, I think definitely as humans, we definitely forget that we have so many options to do things. It's just up to us to like really pull the trigger and figure it out. Unless if you're not willing to figure it out, then you're just going to be stuck there forever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's scary, and it's so much harder to change something in your life when you're used to living that same routine or doing the same job or like being in the same relationship.
Yeah.
It's so much easier staying in your comfort zone than it is because you know that when you're going to change something, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
And struggle is terrifying. Like no one likes to struggle. But it's so important. And like fuck man, I hate exercising. Like I hate it. I'm not one of those people that's like, yes, like I love to work out. Like that is not me. I fucking hate it. And I love to eat so much food that it's like, I just cannot live the lifestyle of someone that can eat everything and not work out. So I have to exercise, and it's a struggle for me every single time. Like I'm never in a position where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm pumped to work out. Never. Like sometimes I'll be excited to work out, but I'm excited and scared. Like it's always the same. Those two always go together. But I'm never in the position where I'm like, I really am like, yes, I love to struggle. Like no one does. But that's the whole point. Is that there's the reward at the end once you go through the struggle and you grind it out and you fucking sweat and whatever, your legs are killing you and you can't breathe properly, you're about to vomit, like whatever the fuck it is. And I'm just using exercise as an example. You can get struggled through a bunch of different ways.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, and that's the whole point, is that once you get to the other side, it's like an enlightenment almost.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like it's always trying to figure out certain ways and having those internal conversations with yourself, and even if that doesn't really work, then find someone to figure it out with. Like, I mean,
man.
My wife is always the person who I kind of bounce ideas off and go, is this a stupid idea? And she'll be like, maybe, but we need to do this to make it not a stupid idea. I'm like, good point. Good idea. I'm going to do that instead of what I was thinking. So it's not being scared to be embarrassed and, be vulnerable and all that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like, it's so important when you say the internal voice, because like we are constantly dealing with that on, every second of every single day we have that internal voice. And for the most part, that internal voice is not supportive.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
It is not your bro. It does not have your back. Like the internal voice is the path of least resistance, and it wants you to be safe and secure and to, do as little work as possible.
Yeah.
So, I agree. It's when you have someone else that you feel safe enough to go up to them, because I am the exact same way. I'll go up to Wade and be like, is this a really stupid idea? Or because I have tons. I always come up with fucking random shit. Or like if I smoke some weed, sometimes I'll come up with like really weird ideas and be like one time I was like, hey, is this a stoner thought? Or is this true that seals don't drink water? And he was like,
of course.
He was like, well, yeah, they don't, because they swim in salt water. So when do they ever drink water?
Yeah.
And I was like, I know, right? And then I Googled it and found out they have like this cool metabolism where they break their food that they eat breaks down. They can turn it into water.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking cool. But yeah, it was like, is this, you know what I mean though? It would have been something that I wouldn't have ever Googled it to find out if I didn't have someone to like share that idea with in the first place.
Well, it's funny because Megan, you did a minor in marine biology, babe? What did you do? You studied marine biology? Anthropology. But you wanted to be a marine biologist, right?
Yeah.
Yes, that was her thing. Anytime
that's like everyone's dream.
Yeah, anytime we see like fish or whatever on the TV, she'll drop some like 1-2 punch knowledge, and I'll be like, how do you have all this knowledge in you? You're like, you're you're a social media marketer for On It, and you have all these fucking knowledge of fish in your brain. I don't even. It's really impressive. Like when she says it like so like I know what I'm talking about. So even if she was lying to me, I wouldn't know.
Yeah, totally. Like you just own it, and like my dad does that all the time. He'll say shit, and I'm like, that's not true, but he says it in a way that's like so convincing. Because my dad's he's like worked in sales all his life, so he just is so the way he talks, it's like so assertive, and you're just like, oh yeah, I guess it is true. And then like, you know, a couple of hours later, I'll look it up and be like, that wasn't fucking true. Like, but you just believe it because of the way they execute it. You know,
exactly.
I suck at remembering any type of important information points, all of that. I'm terrible at it. So fucking
me too.
I feel you there. I just can't remember shit.
100%. But hey, thank you so much for being on the podcast tonight. Well, today over but tonight with me. It's like 9 o'clock at night.
Brother, thanks for having me.
No, thanks, man. If people wanted to find this T-shirt of yours, if people are new to hearing your voice or hearing who you are as a person, what is this T-shirt? Where can they find them? Let the people know.
So you can go to primepodcastapparel.com. That's where you can get the T-shirt. I'll be releasing my second design very soon. I'm just waiting for the samples. It's going to be an ancient Egypt design.
I saw that one.
There's a lot of cool symbolism and sacred geometry in it, and that's a shout out to like Graham Hancock and Robert Sharp, John Anthony West, Randall Carlson, and Rogan, obviously. So yeah, Prime Podcast Apparel, and then you can also follow me on Instagram at Bonnie Sein, BONNIESEIN.
Sweet, man. Thank you. So check him out, primepodcastapparel.com. Follow Bonnie on Instagram, all that kind of shit. Is your blog on there too?
Yeah, so my blog is just bonniesain.com, but I've got it hooked up to the Prime Podcast blog as well, so you can find it either way.
Oh, magic. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Bonnie, for taking the time for being on this podcast, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. Talk to you later.